Hello and welcome to Adopted Geordies, brought to you by BetMGM. I am Andy J, sat with the main man, Mr. Rob Lee, and we have a very, very special episode for you today. He played, I think, 268 games for Newcastle United across 13 years, scoring something like 15 goals, which is not bad, given that he's a defender. It is the one and only, the legend himself, Mr. Stephen Taylor. How are you, Stephen?
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here. You are looking dangerously suntanned and fabulously healthy.
No, it's obviously very enjoyable in Dubai, where I am now manager out there, and enjoying life there.
I mean, you started it, so we're going to go into it. I have to ask you, when it was announced that you were manager, the unveiling video was something out of Hollywood. Did you have a say in that? Did you help edit it? There were limousines, there were helicopters.
Absolutely not. I think it was one of the Sheikh's sons from Abu Dhabi. He says, "I want you first of all on a camel." I said, "There's no chance of that." I said, "Put me inside of a car and I'll come out." Yeah, but wearing a suit in the desert is very, very hot. So it was a tough day to do, but sometimes you got to do it.
I mean, it went viral. Did you? I mean, you
must
have seen it before.
Yeah, when I seen that, I thought it was going to go more viral than the handball. I thought so. Let's see. No, it was definitely different. Put it that way.
How did it come about? You become a manager in Dubai. Was you out there anyway?
So when I retired, when I was 35, left the Australian A League, and then come to Dubai to switch off for a couple of weeks. It lasted probably about a week, and then I was just coaching some kids on the beach. And next thing I know, one of the owners of a brand new football team in Dubai said, "Would you want to be involved in the team? We have to start a team in 2 weeks." So I spent that weekend inviting as many players, and we had like an African platform where we just had everyone turn up for free, and I had to pick 30 players in the space of 2 weeks and get a group of players together, and then dipped into the amateur market out there, which you had some past players, guys who had played in the English system, and we ended up going unbeaten, back-to-back promotions, and then from then onwards took over a new team, built up that, got another promotion, so 3 in 3 years, and now this one here will be the fourth promotion in 4 years. So I've had a lot of help with, obviously, Papi Cisse just signing now for me, and
love that.
Some friends in the game have been helping getting players and using them as a platform to come to Dubai and then go into Europe or Asia, and we found some very good talent so far.
This is the way you've described that, Steve, is literally like a fairy tale. Well, I was just coaching some kids on the beach, as you do. Were they your own kids or were they just random kids?
Random kids. Listen, just hosted a session, came down, and then I think one of the dads came along, and funny enough, he was one of the owners of a brand new football club.
Did he know who you were, or did you just think this is a guy who knows what he's talking about?
I think he did. Obviously, he's I think he's a Manchester City fan at the time. And then next thing I know, we just got talking, and he asked what my situation was. And I was just enjoying being here, coaching young lads. And I think 18 to 20-year-olds was kind of the market I was looking for. Similar to when I made my debut, players who were hungry. And then, there's always that kind of gap between the lads who are just breaking into the first team. Sometimes there's guys who have been released. There's guys who are prolonging their career, coming to the end of their career. So you tap in a few little different markets, and I wanted to be around the hungry guys who, want to have a career. And I enjoy what I do, and I got that opportunity now to coach kids, but be part of something where it was like a brand new coaching experience, where I can go back to the academy now, but at the time they weren't really developing the kids to go and play first team football, knocking on the door. I want to be playing at 18 years old. I want to be part of that. And that's how I started me. I refused to go into the academy at 16, but I had a chip on my shoulder of, I believed I was good enough to go into the first team straight away. I had to go on loan to Wycombe Wanderers. That was a big life lesson for me. I think I was 17 years old. Tony Adams got me down there, and I got absolutely battered for 6 weeks. And it was like, welcome to the English game. And I think you have to learn and earn your stripes.
Yeah.
I was very lucky as a young lad, thinking I was strong in the game, and reserves was pretty easy for me. And then you get like Alan Shearer, Shea Given, Jonathan Woodgate, Gary Speed, senior guys who I could learn off and pick on and how they are game managers, how they are as characters. And when I went on loan, it was welcome to football. And it was really where you get an elbow, and you have to learn how to deal with that, how to use your body, and how to deal with the game management in games. And sometimes, you concede after 2 minutes, and it's up to your experienced players around who basically can carry you. If you've had a tough time in the game, there was times where Woodgate or Gary Speed would help us out, share behind non-stop. You need figures like that. And I think even it's important for young players coming through now. You need either young boys need the experienced lads around them. I don't think there's enough of it in the game now.
Do you think it's getting worse though? For the young kids in the academy, I think it's getting a lot worse. For them to go into and play men's football Division 2, Division 1. It's a totally different game. As you say,
Yeah.
I think it's worse. They get battered around now, and they're not used to it now. You coming through at that age, you were probably used to a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But today, I think they tippy-tappy football. They go into this, all of a sudden, these guys have got to earn their money to pay their mortgages, and they're going to batter you. And I find players that are in the Premier League, playing for Premier League under 18s and stuff, they go to these clubs. They end up struggling.
Yeah, I think you've got to get out early doors. I think, 17 years old for me. I think you got to go on loan. I don't agree with playing, is it 23's football, 21's football, whatever it is. You're playing against kids. You've got to go out there and you've got to, deal what's like with the emotion of lads got mortgages. If you don't, when you win bonuses, like I went to Wycombe Wanderers, guys crying after games, not getting their bonuses for their mortgages, and you can see how much it affects them. I didn't understand that as a 17-year-old. I was very fortunate. Mum and dad would, look after that. And I kept away. And all my main thing was I have to learn from these guys. And going back to Newcastle after you've had that little bit of a taste, knocking on the gaffer's door. And the biggest one for me was, I think, coming back from Wycombe Wanderers, going into the games where I think Newcastle might have lost a game. And you get little teasers from like Shearer, Shea, Speedo, just teasing in the dressing room as a young kid. They had me like a little puppet at times going, listen, go knock on the gaffer's door. Bearing in mind, they've already told the gaffer, we're going to send Taylor down.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, just play along with it. So I'm going down there, getting sucked in like a Hoover. As I go down the corridor, I see Bobby Robson, and then he's already ready for it. So I go in there, and as I'm sitting down, ready to get my words out about I want to be playing, 17-year-old, 18-year-old lad, like, play me. He said, how's your family doing, son? How's your dad doing? He just kept talking about family. And I'm trying to get my words out. I'm like, Gaffy, you need to shut up here because I need to get my, I want to play. Yeah. Ended up coming out the office with Bob Robson's arm around me, walking down the corridor, and Speedo just shouts, I see you got your words out there, son. Absolutely kill me. But things like that, and making the coffees in the morning, doing the kind of stuff for the lads and the experienced players, you have to earn your stripes. So like learning from the managers that I've had, the Kevin Keegans, the Bobby Robsons, the ones who the players have loved because of the game management and the way they spoke to the players. That was the big thing for me, is how you were treated as a player. If you weren't playing, is still feeling that love around the place, because every footballer needs that love. And I see sometimes now, you just hearing in modern day football, if you're not playing, the agents get in their kids' ears and all that kind of issues, and a lot of people can't handle it.
I've got to say, Steve sounds like a top manager already, doesn't he? Presumably your ambition, Steve, is someday you're gonna come back and be a manager over here, right? I mean, have you got the eyes on Eddie's job?
I'll be honest with you now. For me, the best thing is learning. I'm a baby. When you leave coming out of football, you have to learn. And I think the best thing for me now is learning from other managers. I'm very lucky when Newcastle went to Saudi Arabia, flying across there 3 or 4 days, watching sessions, watching the prep, how they speak to players. You have to learn, and that's when I first made it as a footballer, I had to learn with my senior players, the Shearers, the Speeders, the Woodgate, the Shays. I love that. They had the core of the team, and now I'm coming into a brand new, thing for me now. I've got to learn from, step one again. So even though you played football, doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager. So you have to go in and you have to take your baby steps, ask a lot of questions, learn, watch sessions. Even when Brighton, Aston Villa, Arsenal come out, I'll still go and watch their sessions in Dubai. I'm very lucky to have that kind of access. And for me now, I want to learn and pick the brains, really.
Did you? Because obviously you chucked in at deep end by someone dragging you off the beach and saying be a manager. Did you have to get involved in all the financial stuff?
No, that's one thing I keep away from that.
So you just say, listen, I've got Pape say that's down to you whether we can sign him or not.
Oh, no,
to the owners,
I'll deal with signing him. Let me just speak to him face to face, and it's how you speak to your players, and that's how I do. Just be honest with them, get them in. For a meeting, and then that's it, really.
So that's a dying art, though, isn't it? When I signed with Newcastle, I spoke to Kevin Keegan. I think now, if you're signing for a Premier League, I don't think you speak to the manager. I think you speak to the financial people, and
that's
like you say.
Every player I sign, I go one-on-one.
Yeah,
and I think the first ever player I bought was a guy from Cameroon, and just basically had to get his flight ticket, sort his visa out, put him in a hotel, and I remember picking him from the airport, and I was thinking to myself, I love this. My first ever player. I get to go through the airport, pick him up, and I took him on the Palm. Actually took him to the Marriott Hotel. Bearing in mind, I was supposed to take him to the player accommodation because he's my first player. I wanted that first night to feel like a professional footballer. So I took him there, and he was 19 years old. And I said to him, we've got a big event coming in the Atlantis. Pjanic is going to be there. Lewandowski's going to be there. There's going to be some top names. He goes, Coach, no disrespect to you. Can I just stay in the room tonight? I said, why is that? He goes, I haven't stayed in a bed by myself. So for me to get that
Wow.
first experience into that, I was like, yeah, no problem. Listen, whatever you want, put in the room service, I'll sort it. In the morning, I'll go back, 8 o'clock in the morning, turn up. He's had a bacon lettuce sandwich and a Diet Coke. I look in the shower, the shampoo's all there. And I was like, you have a shower? He goes, yeah, but that's the hotel's coach. So that was my first thing. Grab that, open his Adidas bag straight in, and then take him to the player accommodation. For me, that was a fire in my belly now going, you can't be selfish as a player. I've never had that responsibility of actually looking after players now. So I've got 30 players, 30 responsibility. And
What a
this
humbling
guy,
experience as well.
yeah, but like, you get texts every morning now going, hello, coach, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. What's it? That's just it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to deal with that
got
every
any
day now.
shampoo?
Like, I shouldn't have sent him number.
You got any of that nice
So it's
shampoo?
different to like, obviously,
Yeah.
when Rob's had Kevin Keegan and all the top managers he's worked under. I'm sure he wasn't messaging them every day.
No, no, definitely not. And was the first
booking his
signing?
flights
How
to
did he
Dubai
turn
now,
out the
though,
first
yeah.
signing? Was he good?
That's the best thing. It was the emotion, I think, when we about to win the league for the first time. The final game was, I just basically got all their parents to send in a video. So I used the emotion, what I think I've seen from Kevin Keegan a few times. He always tapped into the players' families. Bobby Robson was very good at that. So for my game, which I needed to win to get promotion, I used that as a tool for me to tap into the emotional side of the game. You don't need to talk tactics. It was the last game of the season. So I just played the videos of all the families, and then they all tapped into each other. When I see the tears for me, that game, I just could not lose. Like, we went on to win the game 5-1, but that for me there was the main thing is the lads understood where they come from. And football is ruthless. I said, guys, there's not many of you guys now, maybe one if you're lucky, will get that opportunity. Some are going to be going back to wherever you come from, and then it's up to you guys to move on further. That's out of my control, which outside the football, I don't get involved with that side. I just want my players on the pitch. Game day, I love being around the players. You know, around the pitch is perfect.
Let's talk about your time at Newcastle, because I mean, it sounds like there's a big future for you as a manager, which I'm really excited about, and I'm really impressed. But as a fan of yours from playing at St James's Park, it would be wrong not to have a bit of a chat about those glory days, because I mean, they were amazing times, right?
Oh, I loved it. I think even going back from before making the debut, getting the War Jackie Award at 17 years old, I'll always remember that. Where I had I think Nikos, Dabizas and all that were ahead of us, 7 centre-halves ahead of me. And going into that War Jackie Award night, I had to make a statement to the first team players so they remember me. I don't want to be a guy who just plays in the cup games. I want to be a Premier League player. Because I've seen too many young players come through and not get that chance. Maybe get the cup games, like Rob will say, he's probably rested himself, play the young lads, have a little look at St James Park. For me, it was turn up in a white tuxedo and set a statement to the first team saying, yeah, you'll remember me, that's for sure. So in the change room, I remember just like, even a few like Nikos and a few of the defenders, he was just a young kid, cocky, bit of a chip on the shoulder, which I knew they would, but you have to back it up. And I was there to stay. And when you do get your chance, you make sure you take it. And I think season by season, you grow, and the more games you play, the better you get. And I think you learn a lot along the way. But like I said, I've had a lot of guidance through experienced players, which I think is key. And some of the generations I've played under, I'm a very lucky lad. And we talk about now, I spoke to a few ex-players who have been out in Dubai. And we mentioned about even now, there's only one striker you play against. And there's times where you might go in the tunnel, you go, bloody hell, wow. You know, you're talking about Van Nistelrooy, the Henrys, the Rooneys, the Drogbas. You're coming against these top players now. And I was very lucky to be in that generation of players. And the guys I played with, obviously the Big Al's, Ben Arfa, Kabais, the Tim Krul's, you know, there's been some absolute legends in the game at Newcastle. And yeah, very lucky to live my dream, walking out there in front of 52,000 fans.
Did it mean more because of your being a Geordie yourself? I know you were born down south, but you moved up to Newcastle when you were so young. It's fair to call you a Geordie, right? So did it mean more to you?
Of course it does. I think when you in the academy, it's 9 years old, and then your dad's from there, and mum and dad were just like obsessed with Newcastle, went every game, and you've got that father-son relationship. That's the biggest thing. You know, you fall in love with football when you're going into the games at the Sir John Hall end. Dad had a bond, so you had your name on the seat. For me, that was the side where you really buy into the football. Being on the ball boy, getting to run on the pitch, getting that little taste of it. Match day duties, being around the players, and saying to Ray Thompson, the kit man, I said, where does Alan Shearer sit? He said, he just sits down there. I'll go and sit down there. I go, I'll be sitting here. Having that confidence, what I believed in, it was like, was I the most talented? No, on the pitch. But 100% of effort give me a 21-year career. And that's one thing I'll never shy away from a tackle. And back then, I didn't care about going in tackles if I hurt someone. I was there to just do my job, and I loved it back then. It was just, you have to earn your stripes, like I said.
Talk us through the managers, Steve, because you've had some unbelievable gaffers, haven't you?
Yeah, obviously Sir Bobby Robson, absolute legend, who you just don't want to let down. I think that was the biggest thing.
Sorry, when did you make your debut? Because I just missed you then, didn't I?
I think you guys missed by
I left
pretty
in
much.
2002, in February. So you must have came
2004 when I came through.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
So obviously when Sir Bobby Robson was there, for me it was the Real Mallorca game, and just like I said, you don't want to let him down. And it's when he speaks to you, it's the little things in training when he walks past you, little things he says to you, you never forget. And I think as a manager, it's an art, because people probably they lose that now. Especially I see a lot of coaches in the game, it's about them. You know, you don't really spend your time with your players. And I think the guys who aren't playing, you have to spend more time with, because they have to feel that love. And he was very good. But Kevin Keegan was probably the best at it. It's just the way he just kept you involved. And after training, having an arm around you, and you felt $1 million. But you're going into games feeling that as well. The confidence he give you in tackles the side of the pitch is just a look. That's all. Sometimes it just, that little look, the appreciation. You come in half time. It's I think there's certain managers I've had, like Chris Hughton, very good. The respect he got, very different manager, but very good with his players. Understood what his players needed, and he created a great environment. But I think for me, Bob Robson was the main one I would always go back to from when I was 16 years old, allowing me to not do the academy, going straight into the reserves, and first team getting battered for 2 years by Shearer, and understand how you have to use your body better. So I took a few elbows and smashes to the face. That's why I'm as ugly as this now. So.
It's worked out well for you, Steve.
I don't know about that, mate.
You've done all right. Last one for us then. Let's talk about the current team, because I'm assuming you still follow, because you're a fan, right?
Absolutely.
So you're still following. You've watched presumably every game since you've left. Eddie's boys, what do you think of them? How good is it compared to the teams you were part of?
It's a different generation, different type of football now. I think front foot football, the kind of man-for-man kind of game plan now. We had a lot of teams which we were counter-attack. If you look back at the generations, we were very counter-attack kind of team, and different when I first started, when you had Shearer and Bellamy up front. Two completely different players.
What combination though, eh?
Unbelievable. And I think the squads I've played under there each year, it was just different. It all depends on the players you've got. And there's years where we've had to suffer and soak up the pressure. But now I think with Eddie Howe, he's very front foot, gives the fans what they want. And it's exciting football that I'm sure the fans will enjoy.
We'll have that. that.
Listen, we can't end without actually going through what was going through your mind on the handball.
I was trying to avoid it.
I can't, because it's obviously soccer. Was it Soccer AM? Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 6-7 months it was on as the platoon. But
it gets played all the
time.
time.
I remember when I was on the bench that day, and it was waiting for an opportunity, the debut season, and obviously we're getting beat. We had a poor game, and I was just thinking, I've got to get my chance today, sure. And I remember coming on excited, and Nicky Butt was dwelling on the ball. He ends up losing it off Vassell from the halfway line, and as he's lost it, I've just had to run straight line back. Past Shea given, and then when Vassell's got past Shea, I'm on the line, and I thought this guy's just going to try and. If I drop a shoulder, I'll go the opposite way. I'm going to try and do him here. And as I've done it, he hit it too high, and obviously he's hit the hand. But in my head, I still think the referee was further down the pitch, so I thought I'd get away with it. No VAR, bit of acting. Nearly snapped my back, but as I've done it, I thought, I hope they appreciate that. I got the red card and walked off the pitch. I thought I'm going to get absolutely battered here.
Oh dear!
And then we're coming in the change room. I remember going in there and I had a shower, sat there in my suit, and I'm going to get absolutely killed. And I just hear all that happened with obviously Boyer and Dyer coming in, and I thought there's a God. So that saved me a lot there.
Yeah, I mean what happened afterwards was a bigger deal, but no one forgets, do they?
They don't. But when they came in the change room and I heard them obviously talking, I just couldn't believe it. I went into the players' lounge and you see on the TV. And I was just a little smile on my face going, I think I might be let off here a little bit. But going back in, and then Shearer comes in, going absolutely ballistic with them two, gets them out. As soon as I told them to go and deal with the press. So I just apologised to Shearer. I said, I'm sorry. He said, don't you worry. I was like, oh, happy days. But no, it was one of them moments where you try and do anything to get away with it, and didn't happen.
All right. Rob, do you want to do your question about who's in your phone?
Oh, yeah. We're doing a little quiz because myself and Alan Shearer used to do a thing about most famous person in your phone book. Mm-hmm. My son now plays for Wrexham. So he's got Ryan Reynolds. Most I've got is Ant and Dec. So who's the most famous person in your phone book?
I'd probably say the Sheikh son of Abu Dhabi, and that's my president. But
Wow.
apart from that, the biggest one's probably Tony Adams. You know, that's the one guy. He's one of my biggest.
You still speak to him?
Yeah, I
Tom?
still speak to him.
Do you?
Yeah, keep in touch.
I grew up with Tony.
Obviously, he was my idol when I was growing up as well. So I think having him, got to play under him when he was at Wycombe Wanderers as a manager, and ever since then, through my England 21 days, he's always kept in touch, and I've been very fortunate.
Great guy, isn't he? Great guy, isn't he?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you,
Brilliant.
Steve.
Thank you for your time.
What a
Cheers.
pleasure to meet you. That's your lot for today. You've been with Adopted Geordies, brought to you by BetMGM. Stephen Taylor, Rob Lee, I'm Andy J. We'll see you again soon.